Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, she was talking about beef prices, cattle ranchers. What really surprised me was learning that a rancher in Virginia will send their cattle to Nebraska for their meat to be processed, to go across the country, and then who knows where that meat goes afterwards. But I was so surprised by that. I don't know a lot about the cattle industry or overall the farming industry. And so that was one of those moments where I was like, wait, this is where I got to lean into be curious, ask questions because I don't understand it. It doesn't really make sense to me. When I think of America's future as a small business renaissance, I think of localizing for the supply chain, for localizing government, and supporting small businesses in the area where you're not going to have to send your cattle across country, but you can raise your cattle and the meat can be processed in that state. So that took me down different paths in this industry. And I want to set the stage for you about this industry because, again, with America's future, yeah, I believe America's future is a small business renaissance. And so I want to go into these different industries and figure out what is going on in order to figure out how this movement can support the different industries, where you can continue to have an impact. If that is as a small business owner, learning from other industries to a supporter of small businesses to realize what's going on, because awareness is so important as a step in this process. And as I said before in the last show, the truth, it can be overwhelming. It can even be shocking at times, and it can give you peace. And if you feel in your gut that something is off, something just doesn't make sense, and you're peeling back those layers of the anxiety, and you're getting to the core of it, and you realize there is something off here, and I just don't understand. Lean in to be curious and ask questions. It's so important. I think of the 33 million small businesses that are out there here in the US. You have a powerful voice. The supporters of those small businesses have a powerful voice. And it's really important to notice what is going on and where changes can be made in order to be able to preserve the freedoms that we have in this country. One of those freedoms is the freedom to decide how you make a living, which includes owning your small business. And I do not want the evil forces like Marxists and globalists to put pressure on taking that freedom away. I don't want to see that gone. And that is another reason why it's important to get out of our own small worlds, to be able to realize what is going on a bigger scale, on the national level. What is going on? And then from there, working our way on down into our local communities, making sure to realize what's going on. Because I think about any small business, I think about this. Where you can alleviate a lot of stress is when you have profit in your business that you can reinvest, when you and your family are happy because your basic needs are met, your team is happy if you got a team because their needs are being met, and then the people that you are supporting and serving through your services and products, they're happy. A lot of problems get solved with that, and then it becomes a lot easier to manage the problems that you have. That's where you can feel like you are winning rather than constantly feeling defeated and losing. And as I said, more years go by and you aren't seeing the results or the change that you want, the closer you get to feeling hopeless. And what I want this show to be able to provide for you is hope. I don't buy that America is inevitably doomed to collapse. It's important for us to be informed, to understand what is going on, and to be part of the conversation. And so, yes, this movement is small, but it's growing. And it is absolutely a determined movement. You can take that to the bank. So let me get into a little bit more of setting the stage here for the industry so you understand what's going on with today's show tonight. I want to do that for you. And then going to explore more about this and then other industries as this week continues on. But first, I want to lead off with this, that all farms in the U.S., out of all farms, 86% are small family farms. And so you can check this out on the USDA website if you want to explore the data. If you are a data nerd, I get it, to want to go and explore this. But for a small family farm, that is less than 350,000 gross cash farm income. And 86 percent of that, and the number could change. I mean, that was a few years ago, so number could change, but that shows that there's impact here. Yes, when it comes to numbers. Okay, so how can there can be more opportunities to expand on that? There's been a decline that's been happening. I don't have the exact number of what the decline's been like over the years, but there's been a lot of farms. There's a consolidation seems to be a theme across industries, right? With AI coming into play, consolidation. What happens then is less competition, and that doesn't then support the consumer. It doesn't support meritocracy. Doesn't support being able to have the best idea win, because then you're getting these other influences like more regulation coming in, and that is something that I realized was happening or has been happening and is happening currently in the cattle industry. Is starting to be talked about. Cattle, the ranching for ranchers. So I want to get into that a little bit more of like what are the barriers to entry right now for people that want to get into owning a small family farm, or if you're part of a family generationally that have owned the land, and you're about to get into the business. Yeah, it's just important to know what's going on here and the impact that you can have. So I think about food. Okay, going into, well, why is this important? Coming back to the mission to make burnout extinct, and I go to the individual level. I don't want, for the individual level, it's not letting stress control you, and then on the bigger picture, it's giving you the energy to focus on what's going on at national level that will support then you feeling less stressed. And when I think about food and health, how important food is energy for your body. And it has seemed, and I've experienced this in my own life, for decades, you don't really think about it. It's only for me, it's been thinking about how many years now. Trying to do my math real quick in my head here. But was it maths 2016? So what, 9 years? 9 years for me of really focusing on food and understanding it more. And it's been a journey in that process. But before that, it's like I didn't even really think about it. I'm just like, all right, this tastes good. I'm gonna eat this, but I don't really know nutritional value. I don't understand what impact it could have on my body, for being able to produce energy, making sure that I'm knowing what type of foods what type of foods could give me more anxiety, or cause me to feel more anxious. When are the best times for me to be able to eat? And just understanding more about my body, listening to my body. And that can be really important. And I know it can be easy to just like step aside and be like, I'm not going to explore that. But it has a big impact then on productivity, big impact on how you experience life, big impact on how you are feeling. And I know that from personal experience. So with food, it's a great connector. If you think about that, or being able to sit around the dinner table, being able to be with family, friends, enjoying a great meal. And when you know where that food is coming from, that connection that you have to that food becomes even stronger and more beautiful and truly incredible to witness. And you know, it it just makes you appreciate more of where you live and how we are part of this earth. And with food too, I think during the really tough times, really hard times and the pain, it's an opportunity for us to support each other. Making a meal for your partner. That's your wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, or your friend, making a nice warm meal. It has an impact. It does. Um, and I feel like when it comes to community, how important that is, that we need more community. That's part of this America's future is a small business renaissance, is a focus on community. Being able to know your local farmers, man, that helps so much. So I've experienced that with farmers markets in Charleston, South Carolina, Santa Barbara, California, Salinas, California. Been I've stopped at roadside food stalls in Delaware, and being able to know where the food's coming from, learn more about the farmer, actually having conversations with the farmer. It's cool. It's a cool experience, and it makes you want to care more about the place that you live and this country that I love, and I hope you love too. To take pride in it. So another Another data point that really surprised me, and it was shocking even to notice like what's going on in the future, kind of starting to understand what's going on in this industry, is that, and this was all the way back in 2017. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is totally even a much bigger gap than this. But young farmers that are under the age of 35, that is 8% under the age of 35. And then for those that are over the age of 65, that's 34%. So what that means is a lot of land, farmland, is going to change hands in the next decade. And I'd rather see more opportunities for young farmers to own that land, to be able to continue traditions of supporting their community, rather than big corporations consolidating the industry. Seems to be a theme here, just consolidating this land. So uh, that is that was the big alarm bells going off of the sense of urgency to get this out more to people. Um, there's there's so much respect I have for farmers, so much respect. The amount of work you put into this for your farm to support the community. I mean, without food, like we're not going to be able to survive as human beings. And so it's such a valuable part of our way of life. And sometimes I mean, I know a lot of times people can take it for granted and just be like, it's expected, it's going to just be there. But it's important to make sure that it's in the hands of those that truly care about their communities, care about wanting to support this country and continue to improve it and improve the lives of the people that they're able to support. It's so important. So that was interesting to learn more about. I did not realize how big of a gap that is. I mean, there's a lot of talk about how the aging population across different industries for small businesses and the opportunities there for buying businesses, and then instead of starting something from scratch. And this is a great example of that, of the opportunity that's there. It's now just figuring out, okay, how to reduce the barriers of entry, making it easier for this transfer to happen, and it doesn't create shockwaves across the economy and create more pain and suffering, because there's been that trend where a lot of farms have had to. There's been a reduction in the amount of total farms in this country over the decades, and that needs to change. That has to change for America's future. So where I decided to explore a little bit more, and I want to share that with you here to continue to set the stage for learning more about this industry, is the cattle industry, ranchers. As I said, I did not realize that for a lot of states, a majority of cattle is not raised in that state, does not stay in that state all the way through till end of life, till the meat is processed. Didn't know that. Didn't realize that there's four big meat packers that control 80% of the beef market, beef processing market. No idea. And so these four, they're Tyson Foods, JBS, uh, Cargill, and then Natural Beef, or Cargill. Cargill. That one always throws me off. Cargill, and then National Beef. And so for these four, they control 80%. And for me, I'm like, okay, you got. It goes back to what I said before: power, rest of us, understanding that within the industries, understanding the players. So what's going on here? How can local processors, meat processors, then compete with these bigger players? Like, what is going on? What are the barriers here? And one that keeps coming up, that I'm hearing from ranchers, is that it's the overregulation. A lot of regulation here that makes it really difficult for local competition, because wouldn't it be really nice where a rancher could raise their cattle in Virginia, and then you have a processing plant, a local processing plant nearby. They can process that meat, and then it's able to be sold in the area. And then I think about it for states, and if you have surpluses or deficits because there's not enough supply, it makes sense to be able to send that beef to states nearby. But to try to continue to minimize the supply chain and localize it, uh, it seems to make sense to me. It really does. And then it's just figuring out ways to continue to make it more efficient. And that opens up then more competition, which overall benefits the benefits when it comes to meritocracy and being able to put in the work, hard work, being smart and noticing ways to improve the current system. The incentives start to change to like raise the standard, and that that's where it can give me hope, where I see that, because there are right now there are local meat processors, but there could be a lot more, and it's like how to make that happen to support these ranchers, and then more create more opportunities for ranchers for new ranchers to come in they come into the industry. So that's another area to focus on, and then that I'm exploring more about is understanding the big four there, and then that process. The other thing that came up that I was pissed about. I really couldn't believe it. It was difficult to see that truth and see it as a real thing. And that is a lot of household income for small family farms are from off farm sources. So not from income from the farm. And that did not sit right with me. I was like, no, that's not okay. Like you're putting in you're putting in the work for something I respect so much, which is growing the food that feeds the population. And like you can't even have you got to rely a lot on household income from off-farm sources. Not okay. Some examples of that were bus drivers, sales reps, real estate agents, and I was like, this has to change. We got to figure out more opportunities. So then I looked into, okay, what's going on? Like, what are some more ways to be direct to consumer? What are those channels right now? Where can they be expanded? What's going on here? Let's dive into it. So the first one, farmers markets. Makes sense. It's a great opportunity to connect with your farmers in the area. Going to those, I travel a lot, so being able to explore farmers markets when in season, because again, it's not always in season. That was really cool to explore more about that. Another one for direct to consumer is community supported agriculture programs, or CSA, and I dove into that a little bit more, understood it. It's another way to create direct relationships with farmers, and that there seems to be some cool opportunities there that I'm going to explore a little bit more about. Another one, online sales, local restaurants and chefs. Another way businesses can support businesses. Being able, yeah, I think that's like it's continuing to reinforce the importance as someone, I think about if you're going to eat at a restaurant, continuing to say the importance of supporting local farms. That is really cool to see in restaurants. I think it's awesome. I really like the momentum that's happening here and the movement behind that of localizing where your food's coming from, eating things that are in season. I really appreciate that. I think about my generation, younger generations, and older generations too. But it's just cool that that trend is continuing to build. Another one is agritourism, on farm sales. Going by like going on hay rides here. Just had how I think about Thanksgiving coming up. Just that's another one, and then local grocery stores too. Another opportunity to partner up. Seeing that in local grocery stores. So there are ways to go directly to consumer. It depends on the type of food that you are selling as well, for like where this fits in for farmers markets, and then the supply chain process for ranchers having to go through meat packers. So you're starting to get a sense of this industry and learn more about it. But for me, it's just eye opening to see specifically the age gap here of how many are near retirement age, getting close to it, the amount of land that's going to be changing hands soon in these next decade. It is so important to be aware of what is going on here and to figure out how to continue to make sure that this industry is being supported, that it can flourish, And I'm really excited to learn more about what you're finding out about this industry when you dive down the different paths here of exploring it, being able to hear more about or read more about that, see that. That'd be really cool, and then to know other questions that are coming up for you, or if you are a rancher or small, or you own a small family farm. I really appreciate your insights of what's going on, what are the challenges you're experiencing. As I said, the big one that keeps coming up is overregulation, knowing where just regulation doesn't make sense in order to allow for more competition. I really want to know more about that too and explore it. And as always, I uh, appreciate you guys in this in supporting this movement. It's exciting to see where this is going. Going to explore more industries later, throughout this week, and expand on on this industry, and then future weeks ahead, start to explore other industries. But I'm really excited for this. Uh, there's a lot more to come. So excited to reconnect again soon. Good night.